In the small, quiet town of Villisca, Iowa, a night of unimaginable horror occurred in 1912. On June 9, a warm summer evening, the Moore family, Josiah, Sarah, and their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, welcomed 2 young guests, Lena and Ina Stillinger, the daughters of a family friend. After attending a church service, the 2 girls stayed the night with the Moore family, unaware that it would be their last night on Earth. What followed in the dead of night would become one of the most horrific and chilling unsolved crimes in American history, an event that would forever stain the town of Villisca. In the early hours of June 10, 1912, the Moore family and the 2 girls were brutally murdered while they slept. Each of the 8 victims, 4 adults and 4 children, was bludgeoned to death with an axe, and the brutality of the killings was unimaginable. The murderer struck each victim in their bed, delivering multiple blows. What made the crime even more chilling was that there were no signs of struggle, no defensive wounds, no screams or sounds of distress. The killer had been swift, methodical, and terrifyingly quiet. It was as if the victims were unaware of the horror that was unfolding right above them. When the crime was discovered, the local community was thrust into a state of shock. A neighbor, concerned that they hadn't seen the Moore family that morning, decided to check in. What they found inside the house was nothing short of horrifying. The bodies of the Moore family and the Stillinger sisters lay sprawled across the house, each one murdered in cold blood. The weapon, an axe, was left behind, bloodied and discarded. But what was most disturbing was the fact that the killer didn't leave the house immediately. In fact, the murderer seemed to have stayed there, lingering in the home long after committing the brutal act. The killer took the time to cover the mirrors in the house with cloths, extinguish the lamps, and even eat food from the family's pantry. The killer appeared to have had no fear of being caught, as though they were confident they could slip away without a trace. They even took the time to clean themselves, wiping the blood off their hands before quietly leaving the scene. There were no signs of forced entry, leading investigators to believe that the killer may have known the family or had easy access to the house. This fact raised a troubling question: was the killer someone from within the community, someone who had gained the family's trust? As the local authorities arrived at the scene, the town of Villisca was thrown into chaos. The murders were brutal, and the fact that 8 innocent lives had been taken in such a quiet, unassuming town left residents on edge. Investigators immediately launched an inquiry, but the case quickly grew cold. With no witnesses and few leads, the police were stumped. The lack of any clear motive or reason for the murders made the case even more perplexing. Was it a crime of passion? Was it an act of revenge? Or was it something darker, something that would haunt the town for years to come? Over the years, various suspects were considered. One notable figure was Reverend George Kelly, a traveling preacher who had been in the town at the time of the murders. His odd behavior, his strange fascination with the case, and his previous criminal history made him a prime suspect. Kelly even confessed to the murders, but his confession was never considered reliable, and he was never convicted. Another theory pointed to a man named Frank Jones, a local businessman who had a long-standing feud with Josiah Moore, the father of the family. However, despite various investigations and theories, no one was ever charged or convicted of the crime. Theories continued to swirl, with some suggesting that the murders were committed by someone with a long history of violence, someone who had previously slipped under the radar of the authorities. Others believed that the killings were part of a larger, more sinister pattern, possibly the work of a serial killer who had targeted other families in the region. The more time passed, the more it seemed as though the truth would never come to light. Even today, the Villisca Axe murders remain one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries in American crime history. The house where the murders took place still stands as a grim reminder of the horrific events that occurred inside. Over the years, the house has become a place of eerie fascination for those who are drawn to the macabre. Some believe that the spirits of the victims still linger within the walls of the house, trapped by the violence that took place there. Others say that the killer, whoever they were, may still be out there, hidden in plain sight. Though numerous attempts have been made to solve the case, the truth remains elusive. Modern-day investigators and true crime enthusiasts continue to revisit the details, hoping to uncover new clues that might finally bring the killer to justice. But as time passes, it seems more and more likely that the Villisca Axe murders will remain one of the most disturbing and terrifying crimes in history, an unsolved mystery that will never fade away. To this day, no one knows who committed this horrific act, or why. The town of Villisca has never truly healed from the wounds left by that night, and as the years pass, the tragedy of the Villisca Axe murders lingers like a dark shadow over the quiet, once peaceful town. The house, still standing, serves as a reminder of the horror that took place within its walls, and the mystery of what happened that night in 1912 continues to captivate and terrify those who dare to delve into its dark past. If you found this story insightful, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this, and share. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.